What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Happy Tuesday. It's primary day in New York City. And we got early voting, and I voted already. I voted a couple of days ago and everything. And I wanted to share who I feel would be a good mayor for New York City. I am an independent, but for this election cycle, I registered as a Democrat so that I can be able to vote in the primary. As an independent, you cannot vote in either the Republican primary or the Democratic primary, and I decided to register as a Democrat so that I can be able to vote for one of the candidates that I've been seeing so far. It seemed that the wealthy oligarchs threw their support behind Andrew Cuomo, and you already know how I am. I am not a person that feels that you should just vote for a person that the rich supports, and I did not vote for Andrew Cuomo. I threw my vote towards the young Muslim guy, Zohran, what's the guy name? Sorry. Zohran Mamdani. Sorry. Okay. I have to remember, because if he becomes mayor, I gotta remember his name. Mr. Mamdani. I supported him with my vote because I felt that even though, he's a self-proclaimed democratic socialist, I don't mind that. I don't really worry about that. I feel that having socialism in certain aspects is okay. We have Social Security, got Medicare, Medicaid, we have different social programs, and that's okay. I don't mind paying taxes for that. All right, but I felt that it was three main things that I appreciated him talking about, and I was like, all right, cool. The first thing that I felt like he was a good thing about, or good candidate for, was, of course, when he said tax the wealthy. I felt that in New York City, yes, okay, we pay city taxes and state taxes and stuff like that, and federal taxes, but New York City is one of the most wealthiest cities in the world. And you have millionaires that's here. If I was a millionaire and they asked me, hey, we need you to pay an extra 2%, I'd be like, okay. Because if I made so much money because of this city, that's just giving back to my country, just giving back to my city, giving back to my town, giving back to my neighborhood. I have no problem with that. If I got $10 million, if I'm making $10 million a year, and after all the taxes, they say, oh, hey, we need you to pay an additional, $200,000. All right, fine, take it. Because if they're going towards, helping the people of the city, I'm all right with that. All right, I know some people might say, oh, it's wrong, taxes is wrong, this, that, that. Maybe taxes is wrong. But when it comes down to it, we need it. The second thing that made me think about giving him my vote, and made me give him my vote, was when he talked about the free buses. Now, I'm a person that takes public transportation. I had a car before, and I realized that, hey, the public transportation in New York City is a good thing. We have trains underground, we have trains elevated, and we have buses or surface buses and stuff like that. And I feel like, hey, this is good. And of course, you have people who pay the fare, and you got people who don't. And the people who don't pay the fare, there's a chance that MTA police could come and give you a ticket of $125. All right, now there might be people that can't afford the fare, or maybe be able to only afford half fare. All right, cool. So having free buses, it's okay. I can agree with that. All right, sure, I've seen people not pay, and it is what it is. But I could agree with that, and I felt like that was a good idea, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll vote for him on that. Then he talked about free childcare. I was like, man, childcare is expensive. When my son was younger, I was paying about $150 a week. And my son is 15, so I'm like, when he was like 3 years old, I was paying $150 a week for childcare. I was like, man, and it was crazy because I wasn't making that much money back then. You're talking about 2013 and everything. I think I was making like $14 an hour or something. So it was hard. It wasn't easy. So the free childcare thing from birth to 5 years old, I agree with that. And the last thing that made me decide to give him my vote was the fact that he talked about this thing called city-owned grocery stores. And I was like, city-owned grocery stores, that might not seem like a bad idea. Grocery stores that's not for profit, and you have products that's in there that's cheaper than the regular private stores and stuff like that. And you have it in neighborhoods, or put them up in neighborhoods where it could be somewhat of a food desert. I'm like, hey, I could agree with that. And I feel that, that's a good idea. And, I'll support that. So I hope that he becomes mayor. I hope that he wins the Democratic primary. I know that a lot of people are saying, oh, well, we know Andrew Cuomo. Yeah, I know Andrew Cuomo as governor. He was good as governor. He was great as governor. I felt that he should have never gave up. He should have been like, hey, listen, you know what? I didn't touch that woman. And yeah, I probably kissed her and stuff like that, but I didn't touch her the way that she's saying I touched her. He should have pulled the bill off Bill Clinton. And he should have fought it, but he didn't. So, homeboy, you ain't Mario Cuomo, all right? We ain't looking for you for mayor. All right, so let the young people of America come up and do what they got to do. Let's stop voting for some of these older people and give the young people a shot. Mr. Zohran is 33 years old, and as a man, I'm 39. I feel that he's a good choice, and that's the main reasons why I voted for him. And hopefully, the people, the great, beautiful, wonderful people of New York City decide to give him their vote, or the majority of the vote, and he becomes the Democratic leader, or the primary leader and stuff like that, and we just see what happens. But only time will tell. Today is June 24th. If you're watching this and he won, that's great. But let's just see what happens later on tonight with all the results. Thank you so much for watching, my beautiful, wonderful brothers and sisters out there. I really appreciate it. I know your time is valuable, but you spent it with me. Thank you. If you haven't already, please like the video. Make some comments. Tell me if you voted for Mr. Zohran or if you voted for Cuomo. Let me know. Or whoever you voted for. Put it in the comment section so we can have a good conversation and talk about it. And last but not least, if you're not subscribed to this channel, I greatly appreciate if you do subscribe. I'm doing my best to continue to grow and edge closer and closer to trying to get monetized and make moves on this YouTube platform. But I can only do it with your help, my beautiful, wonderful brothers and sisters out there. Thank you for watching. Be safe. Have a wonderful day. Peace.